Hey everybody, this is Sick Covering 1027 again. Um, this is the second time that I've had to record this because the recording got corrupted. Um, I want to, I am going to say this. I did do some progress in the game, but only like 10, 20 minutes worth. So, yeah, I didn't really get to a lot of the points, but yeah, this is the second time I've had to record this. I'm not going to be able to play any of the music from here on out because I got copyright claimed on my last video, which happened to be part one. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to get right on into it because, I want to get back to where we were so you guys know when I'm having my dad just got home. I just want I want it to be where, like, my reactions are not fake.
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up
And
like
I want you all
Walter.
to know,
But if
like,
she
I just
never
want you all
told
to
me
see my
about an
raw
uncle under
reactions
the
to
house,
stuff.
I can only imagine what else she was hiding.
Turn my ringer off for just a second. Okay.
I don't want to make the same
My
mistakes she
microphone
made,
is on, right? I don't want to pull the same thing that I did
trying to
before.
bury something that's still alive.
The reason why I'm so, like, worried
Now that
about
there's only one
my...
of us left, or maybe two.
Let me talk. Reason why I'm so, like, worried about my mic being cut off, because there's this one stream that I did, about Detroit Become Human. And my microphone was off for the entire hour that I was live streaming it, so I don't want to do that again.
I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else.
Get out of my way, alphabet soup.
But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
I really like this gravestone. I don't know why, but because of, like, all the train stuff in it, and I love trains a lot. I've probably said this like twice now, but I really love
I
trains.
don't know if I should even be writing this. Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me.
Why do you have to be so sad all the time?
But I thought you should know about your family.
Who are you talking to? Oh, wait, I just realized.
And the history you're a part of.
Wasn't this talking... This symbolizes the monster in, like, Molly's story. I just realized that. Like, that's the first time I've seen that.
Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
Creaky floorboards.
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible.
Sorry, I was checking some. Bink and a sploosh. This is probably going to be the longest we've walked in this entire game.
I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
This is kind of off.
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils are mine, and 2 had been my fault.
You got Therpy, Lurpy, Furpy, Chirpy, Burpy, Derpy, and Derpy Jr. Perfect. And then we got Zoe, Coco, Tucker, Charlie, Daisy, and Lucy. And then baby. Froggy.
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
Cat. Moon. Saw reading and rock.
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea. My mom was always trying to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away. She could see it poking out of the water at low tide. Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
Oops.
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from. Her dad had been pretty strict, but it wasn't enough to save her brothers. She was just trying to do better. She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us. There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along.
Oh, Lord.
For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself.
My dad just got home.
But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing,
This part confuses
I
me.
never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
Cause I don't know if she, like, because we're a teenager. Oh my Lord. I just want to record. I just want to record. This day has been so bad for
I
recording.
never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common.
Oh yeah, the reason this didn't drop yesterday was because I felt so bad.
They were both pretty intense.
Okay. So this is Sam. Now, apparently, he liked taking pictures of other things, but he got really, really
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
nervous
Yes,
when
sir.
in front of
These
the camera.
memories are gonna last a lifetime.
Am I gonna have to shoot anything?
It's a hunting trip, Dawn.
Okay,
Shooting
I am
is
going to say
strongly
this, there's going to be a
encouraged.
lot of flashing in this. I don't know if that's... It's not a lot of rapid flashing, it's like camera flashing. So,
What?
Perfect.
I don't know if that's
It's
like
gonna rain the whole
epilepsy
weekend,
worthy
isn't it?
or like...
I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are.
Aw.
I do think that that's worthy of a picture.
You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though.
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee. Hey!
That's a keeper.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn, I'm being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out
He
here make
moves
you
his
want
hands
to
just like
To tell
when
you the
Dawn
truth, I haven't been out
is
here in
talking,
20
it's like
years.
he's talking. Sorry.
Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip.
Dad!
Good eyes, Don. Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Oh. Where's my daughter? Where's...
Dad,
Yeah, okay.
Just breathe. Turn off your imagination. Focus on your target. Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive, you'll need to be strong.
Okay. I'll let you all know there is going to be
Now keep
some...
yourself squared up. Nose down.
Shut
Like we practiced.
up, Sam.
Whenever you're ready.
You all probably know where this is going to happen, so... A 1, a 2, a skilladiddly...
Great shot, Dawn!
This part kind of... I don't know. It messes with me. Where, like, she's crying about it, and he's just so proud about it.
I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
Yeah. Oh god, I can't do it. I'm stuck!
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about...
Dad!
Dumb.
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
This family really is unfortunate.
Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something. Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
We never... I need too much Minecraft. We've never really gone
After Sam died,
through...
my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
We've never really gone through a real door. There's always been a secret passage. And then this is probably going to, yeah, this is probably going to make some people uncomfortable.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he saw things the rest of us don't.
Froggy. My ear's itchy. Oh, Lord.
Talking
Okay.
over, Gregory. It's time to... Hold on, sweetie. Hello? Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I wonder what he saw.
I think
his
there might be
world
an
was like.
achievement for this. I want to see if that's true.
He reminded me so much of Calvin.
Hey.
Lost in his imagination.
Children, stop. Hey, yeah, there is a trophy.
Whatever it was, he saw. It sure made him happy.
Whee.
silly it sounds. That I worried about a baby being too happy. But I could feel you slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it. Hold on, I don't want Gregory to hear this.
I wish he could have told us about the world he saw. Hey, there's so much I don't understand about Gregory. About everything. But I know what happened wasn't your fault. I'm sure he's happy. And he'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet...
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard. My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart. I tried to talk him out of it, but though he'd never met her, we don't need a stepmom were the words that
I now pronounce you husband and wife. To make him cry.
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined and as a sign held up his middle finger. The wind picked up and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
Oh no, I think I have an idea.
The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made. The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power. But all my father said to this was, "Make the music louder."
Uh-oh.
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day. Out there on the beach alone, just you, the wind, the sea and foam.
Oh.
But I didn't. Until we found you.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
Okay. Oh yeah, the power's off. Raise flag. Breakfast. Quiet time. Duties. Dawn. Sweep and trash. Gus. Mop and mow the yard. Greg. Be a baby. Gene. Jump rope. Jumping jacks. Push-ups. Crunches. Run to mailbox and back. Nice.
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
Are you seriously out of breath after that? The Bible.
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
Hey, it's Curly. Don, Sanjay. To teach critical thinking. Meet with relieve at copy passport or volunteer check. After school teaching, start volunteering, fly to India and back.
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
Oh, okay.
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Lewis was born a year later. When my dad died, I don't think Mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal. But it didn't last.
Oh,
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle. After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
How in the world do you have... What are the taxes on this? Will we ever find out what happens to Milton? Find out on this next episode of Dragon Ball Z.
Milton Finch in The Magic Paintbrush.
My controller is going like crazy. Oh man. Okay, there we go. It feels better now.
I was 4 when Milton disappeared.
Everyone else is really skillfully drawn, and then Milton. Should we just go back down?
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out. Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery. Everyone always told me to stay out of Louis's room. Except Louis.
Giant bolt. Good morning! Okay, that's a lamp.
Louis's room smelled very, very familiar. That part of him lived on.
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Louis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse.
Yo,
Newly
what?
sober, I believe Louis first noticed the monotony of his daily life. He kept working at the cannery, but he withdrew part of himself. In our sessions, I saw the same behavior. His mind began to wander.
Oh.
I asked him to describe it. He said he started small, imagining a labyrinth. He'd feel his way about. Then something moved. Bats. And toads.
Huh.
And things that have not names. He knew it was all in his head. But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more. I worried about him
really
then.
Cool.
Daydreaming at the
this
cannery.
one.
I spoke with his boss. But he said Louis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused. Like a whole new Louis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him. It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend. On the edge of a city he named Louis Tokyo. He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band.
Do you not go this way?
And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger. He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. so he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor. And he won. They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him.
We're still doing this.
He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on.
How do you put this into one letter?
New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality. Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Louis kept sailing on.
I wish I could have, like, she sells seashells on the seashore while she was talking.
He heard rumors of a handsome queen. The queen was on her own quest for...
I don't know. Sure.
Radiant rainbows. He followed the sound of her...
Sorry, texting.
silver harp.
That timing, huh? Bang.
His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon. Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it. In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king. For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Louis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
Let me answer this right quick.
Began to forget the world we know.
Hey, game console. Okay.
I think it pained him to remember Louis, the cannery worker. he began to despise the man with a royal contempt. I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder. The palace would be packed with his companions. Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him.
Molly.
His
Imagine
queen
she
waited,
turns
holding
to-
his crown.
No, I know it's about to happen. Yep. Yep.
There was only one thing left to do.
We already know what's about to happen. Oh, come on.
Bend down his head. And the rest I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Oh. I just realized what happened. I thought that was a metaphor. Now I realize what actually happened.
My brother was really cool. I wish you could have met him.
So now all we have left is Sanjay, Dawn, Kay, Sven, and then Edie.
Lewis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
Oh, dang. A school diploma. I tilted forward on the analog stick
On the way
and it
back from
opened
Lewis's
backwards.
funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie.
What do? Oh. See that load in? Oh, heck. What? I just did a whole loop around.
I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder.
Pause.
I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind. What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner. But it had to end one way or another. All that's left now is to tell you about that last night. That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
Oh, so this is us.
the power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
I don't really like our mom.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
Your children are dead because of your stories. No, that's just life. She's afraid of life. Yeah, guess what? Life happens.
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out. It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground. There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years.
I like
God, it
Edie's
smelled
voice.
awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way. I got turned around.
Huh?
For a while, I wandered. I started seeing things. Things I'd forgotten had ever existed.
What?
But when I saw them, they felt like old friends. That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them.
The gate is still locked.
Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try and...
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine!
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it! Let go! I kicked and screamed, but Mom dragged me to the car.
God, Mom is a piece of garbage.
I never saw Great-Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it. But she started getting sick a lot. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive.
Ooh.
Until I found out about you.
Huh?
I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this.
Well?
If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is.
Oh, we're being born.
This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you. And tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now, things didn't work out that way.
I am born.
This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
Oh, we was a boy? At the end of the game. That was really good. That was only 2 parts? For Shirley Dallas. This is where the credit music would be, but that was really good. We still didn't figure out what happened to Edie, though. I thought we were Edith. Everything ends. I just got a trophy that says the end. Huh. Well, that... I thought that we'd be able to find out what happened to Edie. Because I thought that we would have our own story and everything. Thanks, Joan. I got a trophy that says, thanks, Joan. Wow. I know how kind of like ominous this is without the music, but it's just like, I don't know, I guess I didn't really expect that ending. I didn't think that would be the ending. Huh. Oh Lord, look at that. That baby wants your soul. Oh wow. I really like this game. I did think that it was going to be a bit longer than a two-part series. Because I thought that 3 parts was going to be... Because, you know, I didn't think this would... Well, I guess my brother did tell me this is like a 2-hour long game. But I didn't really expect that ending, though. I thought that, like, I don't know. I don't know. I thought we were Edith. I thought we were Edith this entire time. Because it said Edith 1999 to what? And then we finally found out it was like 2017. But I thought that it was... I thought that it was us. I don't know who we are. Huh. The Edith Finch team. The end. Tietum. Did we ever figure out what happened to Dawn? I don't remember a Dawn. Select Edith to play from the beginning. Select Edith. Replay a story. Well, I guess that's the end. I guess that's the ending, guys. I want to thank you all very much for watching and coming along with this and coming along on this adventure. But I'll see you guys in the next video, whichever series that may be. Bye-bye, guys.